Hello, good afternoon, welcome back to the Fish Locker out on the shore. Today I am in sunny Somerset. I've just got to the market. I got myself, it was a little bit late getting here just because of all the traffic today. But I'm fishing low water at this market. I'm 2 hours before low water. I've managed to get my 2 rods out there just so I've got something fishing while I set everything else up. I'm going to be following the tide down to low tide, fishing 2 hours down, maybe 2 hours up, and then potentially moving to another mark. But this is it. This is where I'm at. Oh, such a lovely day. I thought I would go and do some shore fishing. Now that I've got 2 rigs out, what I'll do is I'll go and bait up a couple more and I'll show you it. I much prefer stable rocks. I tell you what, I've nearly been on my back twice already. These boulders, yeah, I tell you what, they'll do your ankle. I think I've just got a bite starting on the right hand side rod. Either that or a piece of weeds picked it up. A piece of weeds picked it up and in the tide it's trundling the lead. Yeah, at the moment, the mark that I'm at, as far as I know, we've got like these pebbly boulders out for maybe another 20 yards and then it goes off onto clean. So I'm fishing onto clean ground. The rods that I'm using right now, I have got an Any Fish Anywhere 6 and bait, and that's coupled to a spin fisher, and this is a Penn Tidal, and that's a Surf Blaster. The reels are 7,000 size. I would like to try and get away with fishing a Conti rod. I'll find out. Oh, there's a bite. Ooh. See? That to me actually looks like a dogfish bite. In the meantime, I'll try and set the tripod up and possibly even knock up another bait, so as soon as I bring that in, I'll put one out. Yeah. That's a good sign. I've only been here 10 minutes. Oh. See in a bit. At the minute, all I've done is I've knocked up half a dozen of 8 pulley rigs before I come up here and put them all on winders. And all I'll do is I'll bait up a couple of spare ones and hang them from the tripod. Just because when the fish move through, I want to capitalise on them being here. I don't want to be wasting 10 minutes making up new baits. So now while I'm waiting for bites, I'm making up new baits. And it's going to be a mixture of frozen mackerel and squid. I have got some sand eel as well. I'm going to put them out in a minute, but the mackerel and the squid were on the top of the box. The hooks that I'm using are a mixture of 2/0 and 3/0 specimen extras and 3/0 circles or 3/0 chinos. The chino or the circle is the top hook of the pennel. This is a pennel hook setup. A pulley pennel rig. I'm wanting a pulley rig just because we've got rocks in close. So if I do hook up to a fish, I want to be able to pull the lead up out of the way of the stones. Yeah, the reason why I'm alternating between chinos and circles for the pennel hook is just for an experiment, just to see how it goes. Fished a mark with a friend of mine, Tom, the other week, and it was yeah, it was probably 90% of the fish we picked up came on the top hook of the pennel. And circles and chinos work perfectly for that. Hook them right in the corner of the mouth. Ooh, ooh, ooh. One of these little baiting tools here, it makes it so much easier. There you go. Bound it up with elastic, just a little bit of mackerel and squid. Slide it off the baiting tool. Tighten it up. There you go. There's one hook. There's the other hook. Could have put money on the first one being a dogfish, couldn't you? And it is a tiny one. He's practically still got the head sack attached. Greedy little fella. Get this guy dropped back. I'll move the rods further towards the water. Get cast back out. And another one. It looks like we've got a bite on that other rod as well. Definitely. As it is, it looks like that other rod has actually found a snag as well. So there is a fish on it, but it's also snagged up. I'm going to give that 2 minutes and see if the fish can't bring it out the snag. And meanwhile, I'll take this doggy out this rock pole, unhook it and send it back. Dogfish. Yeah, that snag, trust me, it's supposed to be clean out there. But I think I've managed to find probably the only snag out there. Yeah, and as I pulled it a little bit and it bumped, so it showed that I'd found a little patch of rock. It parted the rig off. It's part of fishing. But yeah, this is also another reason why it's good to have spare rigs made up. Because the weakest link in that, my mainline braid's £70 and then I have an £80 rubbing leader, and then on that my rig body is £60 and my hook lengths are £30 or £40. I can't remember. I've made some up of both. So the weakest link in that, if the hook length gets stuck, the hook length will break. So I'll get the rig body, the lead and everything else back. If the lead gets stuck, then the rig will break off. So I'll still get my leader and the swivel back. And that was exactly what happened, because all I got back was, and I can find it in my pocket, the pulley bead. Now the baits that I've got out at the minute, like I said, they're fish baits, fish and squid baits. They're mackerel and squid. I did manage to get a couple of peeler crabs. Peeler crabs at the minute are like gold dust. A friend of mine, Jammy from Jammy Sea Baits, helped me out. Yeah, they're hard to come by at the minute, peelers. They're going for a ridiculous price as well. Yeah, if you're coming down Cornwall or Devon, and you're in any of that area, it's worth looking in at Jammy because he's good for bait. Let's get another rig made up. We have got now about 25 minutes to low water. So this next move down is going to be the last one. And I've had 3 dogfish. There's 2 gents that have turned up and they're about 100 yards down there, and they are far better casters than I am. They're properly hitting their baits out. They're probably getting 200 yards, whereas I'm getting 100 yards. And they've had 2 fish. One of them they've lost it in the rocks right in front of them, and the other one they've landed, and it was like a 15 to 20 pound conger eel. So that fish that I had in a snag, that makes sense if it was a conger eel, because there was a little bit of a bite, and then when I struck into it, it was just solid in a rock. And then when I put the rod down, it was still there, so could have been a conger eel that had taken it in the hole. I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know the area. Just at the moment, the reason why I'm I'm fishing here is because we've got strong winds. At the moment they're coming off our back. This is a sandale and squid bait, just lashing it up. I've got two new baits, two new sandale and squid baits, and I'm going to bring these rods in and then move the tripod further down and then cast out right at low tide, and hopefully we'll be able to capitalise on this. Because I know there's fish there because they've hooked into them, and it's not just dogfish either. Let's get moving. There you go. I guess it's not just me that's lost a bit of gear here either. That was just at the low tide line. There'll be a bit I can salvage out of that. There you go. Probably another rig on that. See if I can't dig that out. But yeah, now that I'm right down here on the low tide line, I am finding a little bit of tackle. So yeah, that does explain why I've been losing a little bit too. If I'd have known it would have been this snaggy, I would have used a rotten bottom setup. Definitely on there. What we're calling dogfish. So much playing with that left hand rod. The rod nearest to us. You just keep an eye on it for me while I'm knocking this bait up. So just cut a couple of pieces of the mackerel. Start off by threading the bottom hook through it. Now I'm not, rightly or wrongly, I don't really know, I'm not making massive baits. Just in my mind, I just didn't think today would be about big baits. Obviously they want to be big enough that they've got a little bit of scent in them, but I'm unsure on that. I'll give it a chance to develop. That's the thing, you can't really leave it too long like this. It's not gonna, it'll get to a point in time if it's a ray, whereas it'll just pick the bait up and it'll move off, and there is absolutely no missing that. But I'm just conscious that if it's another conger eel, it takes me in a hole again, I'm going to lose another rig. All I've done is just put a bit of squid and a bit of mackerel together, linked on the bottom hook onto there, and you just give it a good lashing with some bait elastic. The bait elastic, it holds it all together. Now frozen mackerel isn't the toughest of baits, it's quite soft, and squid again soft, so binding it with the elastic gives it a little bit of form, gives it a little bit of structure, but also makes it streamlined for when I'm casting. It's not going to fall apart now in the cast because I've got the elastic all holding it together. Once it's bound like that, all you do is just slide it off. Make sure it's straight. There you go. There's one hook on the top. One up there. That's ready to be clipped down. I'll quickly knock another one up. It's not my home turf, so I had to ask some advice when I came here. There's a friend of mine called Jansen Teakle. He's a guide in the Bristol Channel. In fact, I did a video with him last year. I asked him about it. He just said, he just says, make sure you got your fishy baits out at low tide. Now the baits, when I've been bringing these other baits in, they haven't been getting chewed up by loads of crabs. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and leave these baits out, these good sandale and squid baits that are on the rods at the minute. Leave them out as long as possible. Just because they are as far out as they're going to get. Now I'm not the world's best caster. In the areas that I fish, you don't need to be. I've never had to learn to be a fantastic caster. Most of the fish that you catch down my way are inside of like 100 yards, 50, 60 yards most of the time. And here, right now today, there is a 9.5 metre tidal range. From where I first put the bags down, we've come about 100 yards further down. So the first baits that I cast out, the first dogfish that I caught, were probably on this piece of sand here. So as that tide starts going back and as we start moving back, I don't want to be moving my baits any further back, because I'm never going to be able to cast them as far up as they are now. I brought just a little piece of wood with me, so that when I'm chopping stuff, I'm chopping onto wood and I'm not damaging my knife. I just cannot get away from these, and they're tiny. That's a bite. Well, at least they're getting slightly bigger. And there's that pennel hook that I was on about. That was a really good bite, that as well. Time to move back now. I enjoy fishing new areas. I enjoy the challenge, I enjoy mixing it up a little bit. And you've got to look at any fish as being a success. I mean, just getting out on a lovely day, getting some fresh air and some exercise, that's a bonus. That's good. Catching a fish lets me know that I've done something right. I mean, even if it is a dogfish. I just seem to, must have like dogfish cologne on or something. Anywhere I go, I can find them. Now what I was really hoping for here was a spotted ray or a small-eyed ray. You never know, it could be really looking good, a blonde ray as well. But yeah, as soon as we have to move back one more time, I'm going to pack up and I'm going to move to a different mark. Just because I'll be fishing into all this. These are like proper ankle breakers. I've nearly fallen over about 5 times. Yeah, the rock marks that we have down my way are they're slippy rock marks. They're not like uneven rock marks like this. Every single time you're walking about on these rocks here, they just move and fall. You end up twisting your ankle. Them lads up the way there, 2 lads fishing 2 rods apiece. And other than losing like a good fish first cast and landing that conger eel, I think I've seen them land 2 dogfish. I'd like to think that they're local and they know what they're doing. So it's not that I'm doing something wrong. It's just the fish aren't there. 5 dogfish for 3 hours of fishing. And I've been changing the baits. Them last baits, I left them baits out a little bit longer. Before that I was changing the baits every 20 minutes. I need to find somebody that likes eating these. Yeah, if we could find somewhere marketing dogfish. Taking on the circle hook on the pedal. I reckon I'm going to get like another 45 minutes here, if not less. Maybe half an hour. I've made up another bait. I'll use up the one more bait that I've made up. And then when we get pushed off again, we'll call it just dogfish. And there's another one. In case anyone hasn't dealt with dogfish before, if you're into sea fishing or into shore fishing, it's unlikely. But just in case, what they'll do is their skin is very rough. It's like sandpaper. And what they'll do is they'll try and bring their tail up and rub you and scrub your skin off. So what you're better off doing is, if you can, is hold them in the same hand. Bring its tail round and hold it off. And then all you do is just turn the hooks out. There you go. This one is a male, you can see, because he has these claspers here. That bait hadn't been out there 5 minutes. I just don't think anything else can get to the baits for these guys, they're just too fast. And another one on the other rod. There we are, we're all packed up. I'm like a pack horse. I do like having one of these tough tubs here. It's good for chucking everything in, and also if I want to keep something alive, like a flatfish or a bass or something like that, to show the camera. Perfect. We have been here for a total of 5 hours, and I've had, I don't know if it's 10 or 11 dogfish. Lost 2 rigs, one on a crack off, one in a snag. It's time to go and move off to the other mark, the high water mark. As you can see, it is, well, this is where I started from. This ground here, it is just like they're all ankle breakers. Let's go. It is a bonny enough walk. So this is what I was talking about. It's not just the fishing all the time, it's getting out there. I mean, the fishing sometimes is just the excuse to take us to these places. It's a lot easier on the way back because it's all downhill. There we go. I've arrived at high water mark. I've got my first rod out. The tide's coming through, so I'm spreading myself out, edging my bets. I put myself up against the side of this wall here so that I can fish one rod down here, one rod down there. I've just put out a sandale and squid bait on that rod, and I'm knocking up something a little bit juicier. This is peeler crab and squid. A squid and peeler crab bait in the hope of a bass or a smoothhound. Just saw a bite out of the corner of my eye on that rod there. Yeah. This is hopefully for where I'm going to be able to fish for the rest of the tide. And all I'll do is, if the tide comes in, and just move up this bank. Because it's a steeper incline, it just means that I'll have to move back less of a distance as the tide comes in. I am still going to end up right at the top of there. But yeah, hopefully as darkness comes on, looking at this area, this little bay here does just look like an area where food sources would accumulate. So I'm hoping that fish are going to run in here and run along round to there. I have an assortment of leads for today. Because I didn't quite know what it was going to be like, whether or not I was going to need 6s or 8s or 4s or... Yeah, what the lead that I found is an absolute jumbo. So I don't know who's chucking them out. Whoever it is, they're a better caster than me. I am quite confident at the moment, just because I like fishing a flooding tide. We have got a bite on the right hand rod. I like fishing a flooding tide. The tide's now coming in. I feel that fish feed with the flooding tide. Yeah, there's that a bite. Might have a bite developing on the right hand side rod. The low water mark that we fished earlier, we did pick out a couple of dogfish just as the tide was ebbing off. And nothing of a slack, and then just as it started flooding again, it was like dogfish, dogfish, dogfish. So yeah, they do seem to feed with a lot more confidence with the flood. We have got about 2.5 more hours of the flood tide. High water should coincide just after darkness. If I could have caught anything today, if I could have only picked one species to catch, I would have liked to have caught a nice ray, like a spotted ray, which is part of the reason why I was using the small baits, is because spotted rays are smaller rays, they've got small mouths. And after that would be like a Smoothounds and a bass. It's one of the reasons why I came up here. We don't really get a Smoothound fishery in my area, and spotted rays are really rare. In fact, I've only caught 2. That greedy little guy, my bait was probably half the length of his body. Just can't get away from him. Missed it. That's what's left of that peeler crab bait. I'm going to put another one of them out. Oh. I tell you what, they aren't half juicy. There you go. Hook's proud. Hook's proud. That is a lovely juicy peeler crab bait. Whatever it was, twice I had like a good whack on it, and it's just smashed all the peeler crab off. I might be getting a bite on the other rod as well. I have to run back to the van and get my lamps. Just to show I'm still catching. I'm just not catching what I want. That's 6 more dogfish. Now I have had 1 or 2 really aggressive bites, like a whack round. I think it might be little bass. Just hitting it once and then just leaving it. About another hour and a half till I water. Now I'm praying I'm going to be able to pick some up by then. It's all real good baits. I mean, I'm begrudged to put peeler crab down for dogfish. No fish on. And now, just to show how good I am at catching these dogfish, I'm actually catching them 2 at a time now. Two hook. bottom hook of a pennel, top hook of a pennel, 2 dogfish. At what point do you say enough's enough? Not yet, anyway. You know when I said, like, when is enough enough? Well, enough is enough. They're coming in and they're this big. They're not even like a foot long. And they're just relentless, like just absolutely relentless. I have had over 30 on this mark alone. So I've had over at least 40 for the session. And they're just a nuisance. Because all you'll do is, one of these little ones like this gets hold of the bait, hooks itself up and just sits there, and occasionally your rod tip goes nod. Most of the time it'll sit there and you won't catch anything else because you've got one of these sat on. Fish these last two baits out. Lo and behold, not 2 minutes later, the final one more of these, and also we're starting to get quite a lot of weed coming through. It is time to go. There we go. That, unfortunately, is the reality of fishing in the Bristol Channel at this time of year. Well, to be fair, it's better than what I was getting at home, so that kind of shows you what's going on there as well. I packed all my gear away. We'll put all this in a bin. All the bait's gone. All my gear's ready for the van. I have lost count of the number of dogfish I have. I've noticed, as I was fishing here on this second mark, there was probably 5 or 6 anglers, well, one way, and then 4 or 5 more on that side, and I didn't say anything other than dogfish coming out. So other than that one conger eel that fella caught on his first cast at that other mark, everything today that everyone has caught has been dogfish. I've stayed longer than I should have done. I arrived today, what was it, 2 hours before low. We're now 2 hours after high. So I've been here for 10 hours. I have used a dozen peeler crabs, I've used a box of squid, I've used 2 packs of mackerel, a pack of bluey, and a pack of worm as well, a pack of frozen blacks. I do have a couple of peeler crabs that I've put aside in the van. We might go fishing in the morning. Rather than drive home at stupid o'clock last night, I decided to stay over and give it a couple of hours this morning with a couple of peeler crabs that I had left. That is it though, it is time to go home. I hope you enjoyed joining me, I hope you found it interesting. All the very best. See you later.